So we are playing Jarvan into Kha'Zix, and you are playing blue side. Okay, so first thing we do is we figure out what lane do we want to play for, and what should we do in terms of pathing. So we figured out by figuring out how the different lanes are gonna go. So if we start with top lane, I wanted to explain who do you think have push, and who do you think has kill pressure in the early game.
Yeah, so top lane will be like, because both of them have ignite, they will try to kill each other. So top lane will be most likely, like, just for match wise, I think Pantheon will kill Yasuo in early game. Just because of the passive and like with the shield blocking shit. So I think top lane pressure is on Pantheon side. Jungle wise, Kha'Zix, I'm Kha'Zix OTP, so I know that in this matchup I can't do anything against Kha'Zix, especially when I'm isolated. So I want to avoid like 1v1 fights. I just want to fight him when I have like prio in like some lane. Depends on where I am.
Yes.
Mid lane, I think Vlad has prio, so he can dodge just with the W. He can dodge most likely everything from Lux, and Lux is not mobile. Is it mobile, like mobility? So
Immobility. Yeah.
Yeah, she can't escape. If she does, like, yeah, if I dodge the Q, the stun, then I'm pretty much yeah, it's pretty much a free kill. Bot lane is yeah, like Caitlyn wants to farm, so basically she has more range than Draven. So I think Draven and Pyke want to, like, they will push most likely. So I have bot prio and mid prio, and in this matchup I want to play most likely between bot and mid.
Okay, so top lane, I agree that he has kill pressure just because Pantheon has lower cooldowns on abilities and has high damage in early game. Both of them have ignite, so we have to assume that they basically want to fight. In terms of who ends up having push, Pantheon will have push just because he has more damage, but he is eventually gonna be mana reliant. So if he has HP and mana advantage, well then he wins, but as soon as he goes to low mana, well then he can't push anymore, and then Yasuo will start winning. Jungle wise, Kha'Zix wins the 1v1s, but you have the better ganks, so you want to get as many ganks off as possible. In terms of clear speed, a full clear Kha'Zix will be slightly faster, but Jarvan is not gonna have full clear typically. He will go for a free camp or 4 or 5. He very rarely will go 6, whereas Kha'Zix will do either 3, 5 or 6. Most likely it will be either 3 or 6, so we can remove the 5. Mid lane, I actually disagree. I don't think Vladimir will have prio, and that is because Lux has range advantage with her E. And she basically, again, kind of like the Pantheon, as long as she has mana, she'll basically have prio. And Vladimir can win the trades, as you say, if he dodges with his W, and he has better sustain with his Q. But I actually think Lux will have prio and not Vladimir. And in bot lane, I actually also don't think that you'll have prio because of the fact that Caitlyn has longer range. So she'll be able to auto attack when Draven can't. And same thing goes for Bard. He's actually also ranged when Pyke is melee. But what you do have on bot lane is you have a really good all-in, right?
Yeah.
So this is what they want to do. They want to all-in. And saying that Caitlyn just wants to farm, that's not really true. She wants to actually poke with her range advantage, and same thing goes for Bard. So they kind of play poke comp without playing a poke comp, right? They're not playing Seraph and Ezreal, but they still have range advantage, so they are leaning towards doing poking rather than just farming. That's because both of these champions are early game AD carries, right? They're not gonna be scaling to 6 items like a Vayne or Kai'Sa or something like that. So you saying you want to playing for mid and bot, I don't think we can play for mid too easily, but it is doable because he's immobile. and then we can play for bot lane because of the all-in. We can also play for top lane in case that he pushes in. So you could technically play for all 3 lanes, but we have to choose some. And saying playing for mid and bot, I think is the best, because I think Draven carries much harder than a Yasuo does. And then mid lane makes sense because this guy's immobile, so especially when this guy doesn't have flash. So if Lux doesn't have flash, we just sit mid lane the entire time.
Okay.
So now to pathing. How do you want to path then?
I want to start topside because my main object is to get Draven fed, and if I assume that bot then is going to push because they're like they're the poking lane, so they have advantage in range, so they will highlight like most likely push the lane. So I want to go. I want to either go 5 camp like in topside full clear into red buff into gank. Or yeah, that's the I think that's the most efficient thing I can do. But I know that I didn't do that. I did I think I did full clear into scuttle into gank. I think I did that. But if I see it on this way, then that's most likely the most efficient way to do it.
Yep. And then the last question is, how do you think Kha'Zix will path?
I think Kha'Zix will start bot side. So he will do most likely 5 or 6 camps into Scuttle.
Okay. I think doing... Well, in terms of the options that you have, I would say that you could do red buff into level 2 gank on bot side because you have all in, but it is a little bit flip. And the downside is that in this situation, because of the fact that they have range advantage, if you do this pathing into gank, you best case scenario is obviously we get first blood. Worst case scenario, we should at least get a flash. But the problem is that if you do this, there's not a high chance that you can then go and instant invade blue buff because of the fact that Caitlyn and Bard both have range advantage, right? So they will be able to still do damage back in and should be able to get control over the lane. But let's say you had a... Let's say they had a Vayne and a Bard, then I think you could do this. So level 1, do red buff into gank bot, and then you'll still have range advantage. Then you can go into his bot side if he doesn't start there, and then take away these 2 camps, get level 3, and then you'll basically force Kha'Zix to do something, right? But that would be an option, but it's a little bit flip. So but safe option would just be, yeah, top side into bot.
But that's only the case if Kha'Zix starts top side, right?
Even if he starts on bot side, it doesn't matter too much, because then you will still manage to get ahead, and then you'll still be able to cover your own top side. Because the downside is, if he starts, if you do this and go here, and he starts here, he's not gonna have time to go all the way up here, right? It'll take too long for him, and he cannot go here because that doesn't make sense, because you already took your red buff, right? So he's not gonna do that.
If I gank bot side, I think he will most likely be on the Grump on that time, right?
Yeah, he will be around Grump and he will be doing it. Maybe he will even finish it, but yeah. But that would be another option. I think best case, the safest option would just be 1, 2, 3 into gank. And then what you will do is, by the time you do this camp, then you look on bot side and you look at the wave, and then you figure out, can you go bot lane? Or should you go bot lane instantly? Or do you actually just end up farming instead? But we'll get to that.
Okay.
We put a ward down on his thread. That's good. I'm assuming you base for sweeper. Yep. Okay, so we know he's starting on bot side. We just don't know if he's starting your bot side or enemy bot side. Yeah. But we basically know that he's gonna be pathing up and you're gonna be pathing down. So this means in this game specifically, the option of diving is pretty safe because of the fact that you know that the enemy jungle is not gonna sit and cover. So then the most important thing is just making sure that the mid lane is not suddenly gonna be able to rotate down. And same thing goes for Kha'Zix in the top side, right? You're not gonna be able to cover your top laner now. So when you've done this jungle camp right here, now I want you to take the first decision of the game. And for you, it's gonna be, well, the first option is you just go wolves so that you can get level 3. The second option would be going for red buff so that you can gank bot lane right after. The third option would then be ganking mid lane, right? Those are basically the 3 options that you have.
So, based on, because like I watched the map on this one where I went to wolves. Based on the map, I said to myself that doing 3 camps into bot gank would be inefficient because my bot lane is actually pushing. So the only option I had, I could do red into mid lane gank because mid lane wave is pretty much neutral, so it's not pushed to either side. So but I think in this case I just did the safe version and did like wolves into like 4 or 5 camp thing.
Yeah, as you say, they're pushing in, so it doesn't make sense to do this. Ganking mid lane, I mean, you could, but the chance of you getting anything except for a flash is not that high. And if you end up getting a flash, then it depends on, are you actually gonna be camping mid lane in those 5 minutes where she doesn't have flash, or you're not going to. So if you want to just farm up and play more for your bot side, you do this. You can play for mid, but I don't think it makes sense here due to the high HP and the weak follow-up from Vladimir. I don't even think you will be able to kill. So yeah, going wolves here makes sense. And then again, now you're level 3, so the options are, now you can do Raptors, you can do red, you can go mid lane, or you can go bot lane.
Yeah, so like the next decision I had this on this one, I watched mid lane and I saw where I pathed like to bot lane. I saw that my mid laner is actually getting pushed, but he has like half HP, and my chances of getting a kill here is basically to 0 because Lux is basically like full HP. So for me it would be like inefficient because just getting a flash is not efficient for me just based on the matchup. Vlad in early game is also very weak based on the damage, and that's why I decided to go and just do my camps for getting level 3 or 4 for 4 I think.
So I agree that we should not go here, but I would say we could go this. And the reason why this is important is because we realized that he didn't start here, so we know he started either here or here. So right now you see that Caitlyn is very low HP, and you can basically dive this because you know Kha'Zix is not gonna be nearby.
Yeah.
So because of the fact that we know that Kha'Zix started on bot side level 1, that means that, as we talked about, you can dive bot lane safely without jungle being there, and they can dive top lane safely. So if you want to play aggressive and get ahead, which I think you should with that Draven lane, I think you should go and focus towards this play right here. Maybe not on this wave right now. You can wait until the next wave that comes in right here. But you should position yourself and realize that this is where the first play for you is most likely gonna be.
Okay.
So on this wave right now, I actually think we should be looking to make a dive.
Okay.
Because what you end up seeing is that they're really low HP, but you're farming, right?
Yeah, that's not fun.
And you could definitely kill them here if you just go straight towards bot side.
Yeah, 100%. They are both low.
Like you can E onto the Bard, I think that's enough. Then you can Q onto it, and then you can flash auto attack onto the Caitlyn with the knock up, and then either Pyke is gonna follow up, or you can get maybe one extra auto off with the knock up, right? And then hopefully that's enough. And then you get the double kill, right?
Yeah.
So here I think you missed out on a good opportunity to play really, really aggressive without actually Kha'Zix being able to do anything about it. Because now you're full cleared, but now their bot lane has reset, right? There's nothing you can do. Mid lane, I mean, Lux doesn't have mana, so she can't really kill. With Pyke, you can probably get a flash here.
Like on this one, I wanted to scuttle over the kill because I don't know why, but I think that's stupid, but I think scuttle is more worth than the kill.
Nah, Scuttle is not worth more than kill. It never is, because even if you get double Scuttle, or let's say Kha'Zix gets double Scuttle, but you get the kill, he will be up XP, but you will be up in gold, right?
Okay.
And you don't mind that trade-off because of the fact that you will then have a winning lane, and you will then be able to still farm, and you can maybe get the third Scuttle Crab, right?
Okay, so on this one, I did like already 2 mistakes, right? The first one was not diving, and the second one was not moving with Pyke and getting Lux kill. But
Yep.
like the thing is, I didn't move to Lux because I saw Vladimir HP, and I knew that Kha'Zix was topside. So I don't know if we can kill Lux and Kha'Zix just with me and Pyke. So
Yeah, we definitely know that he's around here because he definitely took top Scuttle. So there is a chance of Kha'Zix being right here. But I would see this as a 3v2, whereas if Vlad just plays it safe, right, he can still maybe use a Q. Lux barely has any mana. If it was 2v2, I would definitely never take this fight in mid. But it's because of the fact that Pyke is here. And if Pyke can hook, we can basically chain CC Lux and we can kill, right?
Okay.
And Kha'Zix is there. You go in now. Pyke is going in. We get flash and barrier. And then here the problem is that this wave is quite shit. So ideally we want someone to push it, but Vladimir's already coming back, so you will get some of it eventually.
On this point, I thought about ganking top lane, but
yeah, but he recalls now. You should gank top if he's playing this overextended and he goes for either trading on Yasuo or if he starts to attacking the tower, right? If he starts doing that, we definitely go. But he ends up just doing one small trade and then he backs off. So you would say, can you reach from here to here in 8 seconds? No. Because he's recalling now and it will take 8 seconds, right? So there's no chance of you making it there. If you can make it within 8 seconds, then you should definitely go there. So I think now it's too late. Because he has based now if he insta-recalled. Okay, he has an insta-recalled, he's recalled 1.5 seconds later.
Yeah, that's more like at least 3 seconds for me to even reach that, right?
Yeah. And the best way to do this is, at least what I do is, you know, a recall is 8 seconds. It's 4 if it's Rift Herald, but most of the time it's 8 seconds. So what you do is you just simply count from 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then wherever he's recalling, you can then figure out, can I reach within here or can I not reach within here? Another thing would be you can look at the timer and then say, well, he started recalling the earliest at, what was it, 20 something? Let's see.
I think it was 6 or 7.
So he recalls now, right? 26. This is when we lose vision of him. So we have to assume that 426 he recalls, so at 34, then he will be in base. So you will see that now he's in base. You can't really do anything. So you're wasting your time here. Here you have 1040 gold. You would ideally want 1100. So I think you should just be farming your top side and then base.
I think I only, that's actually what I did. I just took my top side and then I based, I think. Oh, never mind. I just took the whole jungle.
This is bad.
Yeah.
This is bad because now you will stay with a lot of gold. So if something happens, like let's say Kha'Zix decides to start Drake, you are too weak to fight because you haven't bought any items.
I mean, this Drake is basically shit, so
Yeah, but it's just the idea if he decides to do it or if he decides to gank. Like, let's say he
yeah,
ganks mid and you think, oh, I am in position to counter gank. Well, you will be too weak to do damage, right?
yeah. So I should base on the wolves and then
Well,
go
yeah,
bot lane.
base on wolves because that's efficient clearing. So all champions want to base within this amount of gold because this way you can buy anything, right? You can buy BF Sword, which is the most expensive. And then large rod, right, for 1250. So rod, you can buy boots. Some champions like to do that. That's not for Jarvan specific. And then otherwise you can go all of the like lethality items. You can also go Warhammer. You can also go Iron Spike, right, which is what I'm assuming you'll go on Jarvan here. So on 1300 gold, everyone wants to base because they can buy something. So whenever you're farming more than this, it's okay to farm, but you cannot fight with this amount of gold. So it means that if you had what, 1040 here, right? And for Jarvan you want to get 1100. Then just clearing wise, it makes sense for you to take this plus the wolves, because then you don't have to go back to top side. You can just go instantly into bot. Maybe look for Drake Rush, look into bot lane or mid lane, the ganks that you want to be doing on those lanes. But what you're doing now is that you're farming past the point of the amount of gold that you need, and now you're gonna end up running back to top lane, which is not the lane you wanted to play for.
Yeah.
You end up then going back to bot. Are you gonna rush Drake? Okay, you end up rushing Drake because Kha'Zix shows top. But if Drake wasn't an option or if Kha'Zix didn't show right, then you would be playing towards the lane you didn't want to play for. You get level 6. They're pushing, can't really do anything. What I would do is I would hard camp mid here. As soon as you hit level 6, so when you get this, you should remember that you got both the flash and the barrier from the Lux right earlier in mid lane. So when you see that, okay, I can't look for a play on bot, well, you can definitely look for a play on mid. Because all you need to do is EQ, you don't even have to hit it, and then be in range for your R, and then you'll be able to most likely kill this guy. So as soon as you hit level 6, I want you to go straight into here. And then gank mid. Because when you're playing Jarvan and you're playing against champions that are mobile, you want to constantly use your ulti whenever it's up. So that means you could go use your ulti, let's say 840, right? You could use it in mid.
I think what I did here was I knew that that the Kha'Zix will base and then go bot lane because my bot lane is actually pushing right. So what I did here it was I wanted to like secure my bot lane, but on this one, like on this play, I fucked up because I went to do golems instead of like going to tier 1 tower.
Yeah, then you would, I mean, if you wanted to cover, then you would either go here or you would go into the bushes, right? And then you would counter gank. So if you do that, that's fine. That makes sense if you feel like Kha'Zix can threat because your bot lane is playing very aggressive. So that makes sense. But going here does not make sense. This is bad both for you and it's bad for your laners. So what I think is you should just go mid, get something done here. Or if you feel like Kha'Zix is gonna counter gank or gank, then you can go and counter gank because you can win the 3v3, right?
Yeah. And that's like even in the game, I knew that on this one I fucked up. That was completely my bad.
Then now you go bot lane, he just uses E, so you can just ulti, that guy's dead. Yep, that's very good. But what you ended up seeing is that you used it at like 950, right? So that's a minute and 10 after. So that's 70 seconds. Your ulti has 2-minute cooldown. So you would already have your cooldown half back if you used it on mid lane instantly, right?
Yeah.
But we end up getting a kill eventually, but it could have been done like almost a minute earlier on either mid lane or with the counter gang on bot side, right? Then we get another kill because Bard is inting. That's fine. Mid lane ended up dying. We look mid. Probably cannot kill this guy.
No, I pinged top lane because I knew that Kha'Zix is top side, so
Yeah,
I
you
went
are
to-
on your way there. You can counter gank. It makes sense. He ends up dying. Maybe you can trade the Pantheon back. Yep. Then push the wave in. Here you cannot leave the wave. You have to push it in.
Yeah, because it's slow pushing to him, right?
Yeah. Well, not even slow pushing. It's kind of fast pushing, but you want to make sure that it crashes.
Mm. Okay. I I wanted to kill him because I knew he was yeah, and then I fucked up here.
Yeah, the problem here is that you want to kill when we cannot really kill. Because if you look at the HP, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have your ulti, so that's pretty important for you to have. And when we look at the items, then we see he has Duskblade and you don't have your Mythic. So
Yeah.
item-wise, it doesn't make sense to fight. We don't have ulti, so that doesn't make sense to fight. We don't have level advantage, so it doesn't make sense to fight. The only thing that makes sense for us to fight is because of the fact that you have 200 more HP right now. That's the only thing. But 200 HP does not make up for item plus level, plus even like double buff versus no buffs, right? So here, just push this in. And then what you could do is you could just look for Rift Herald, to be honest. Because of the fact that Pyke is here. And Vladimir is here as well.
I think I did that decision based on I thought that Pyke would come to me like into the enemy jungle, but I saw him pathing topside, then I knew that I fucked up there because I didn't communicate it.
If you want to do it, then you have to just spam ping 5 times that you should go here, right? So on my way, on my way, on my way. And then if he listens, then you can go for it. Otherwise, you should just go this.
Yeah.
So if you want to make this play again with Pyke, then it makes sense because then he doesn't have isolation damage. Maybe you can then make up for it. You then have more chain CC. He has his ulti, right? So it makes sense. But he needs to ping it and then say, okay, if he listens to you, then you can go. If he doesn't listen, then you have to still just go here.
Yeah.
But you cannot fight him individually because of item advantage or item disadvantage plus double buff plus level.
Yeah. I knew that like on 2 or 3 plays I knew that I fucked up there completely.
So here, for example, this makes sense to fight, right? Because now it's 3v3, we can end up actually killing him. So now it doesn't matter that you have item disadvantage because you have teammates and you have a wombo combo, right? Yasuo followed up, Pyke can follow up, and we can actually fight. And we also remove Kha'Zix isolation damage. And you can actually keep going. We get the Pyke, that's fine. You end up surviving. Oh, you don't end up surviving. Let's see, can you survive here? Good dodge on the Lux ulti.
Maybe if I go out 1 second before, I think. Then
Yeah, I mean, it could be maybe the Lux shield as well. Because he throws her W out, so let's see. Where's the barrier? Because you see the shield right here. It's still up. Still up, still up, still up. So what I would do on this HP, if she... I mean, trading 1-for-1 is fine. So if you want to do it, you can, because you know Kha'Zix is dead, right? But I don't think it's the best choice because of the fact that now Kha'Zix is dead, meaning you can get either the Rift Herald or the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
So because there are objectives up that you can take for free, I would not go for this play unless if you wait out this shield, right? So the shield is halfway done just now, but you're already going in. So you'd have to wait until like 2 extra seconds, then you could go in. You could easily kill it together with the Pyke, and then you could get out, and then you could either do Rift or Drake.
Yeah.
So normally trading 1-for-1 is fine because the jungler is dead, but because there are objectives up for you to take, you could just take the 2 kills plus then the objective, right?
Yeah. Would be more efficient.
So either wait out the shield or simply don't go for it and just take 2 for 0 and then take objective as well. Because now the problem is now Riftel is less valuable because it's 14 minutes in, and we haven't taken it to use it for platings. This rig you just have to give up. It's 1v4 or 2v4 if you end up going in.
I think Draven got a lot of kills here.
Yeah, he ends up killing them. I mean, the problem with this is that by you standing here, you bait Vladimir to think that he's also supposed to go here. And in a different situation, if these are ready to turn onto Vlad, he insta-dies.
Yeah.
And then what they would then do after is they could probably still finish the Drake and then run out. So this is just bad execution from enemy team, because if they together turn right here, then Vladimir is dead. Like Kha'Zix is 1 second from being able to press Q onto the Vladimir, right? So yes, it ends up being in our favor, but it's only because of enemy team not actually turning like a team. If they did that, then they wouldn't have gotten it. Then they kill Vladimir, they take Drake, they just run out.
Okay.
So in that situation, just give Drake, run towards topside, trade the Rift Herald and his topside camps instead, and then use that Rift Herald to get another tier 1 tower or a tier 2 tower or whatever. Okay, we end up getting out, but again, we're not really playing for the Yasuo, right? We should be able to press tab and then realize that, okay, our Draven is 8 and 3. He's the guy we want to fight with, right? We don't want to fight with the 2 and 4 Yasuo.
So just going top lane and helping him was what was a mistake. I should hover above like the Draven, right?
Yeah, you said you wanted to play for these, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the times you're pathing towards this guy and you try and fight with this guy. You're taking a lot of fights around top side, right? Like you took a fight up here, that didn't make sense. You take another fight up here, that doesn't make sense. And you're not fighting so much on this side of the map.
Yeah.
If Yasuo is really, really fat, then you can say, okay, if let's say Draven is 1 and 3 and Yasuo is 5 or 6 kills, then you can say, okay, fuck it, we change the game plan and play with our fed Yasuo, but Draven is still the one who's fed. So he's the one who will have the damage, so you will engage for him, and then he will do the damage. If you engage for Yasuo, yes, he can follow up, but the damage is not going to be that big, even if you wombo combo.
Okay.
So you have to basically just play with whoever is strong right now. And right now that's Draven, and it's Pyke. And then Vladimir is scaling, so he will eventually be strong. So for example here.
Yeah.
Here you're topside again. You're kind of looking for a play together with Yasuo, or you're just looking for anything, right? Imagine if you were here in this 3v3. Look at Draven's damage.
Yeah, we would have killed them all. Most likely.
And you even have ulti.
Yeah.
But 2 times you're playing with this guy, which doesn't make sense because he's not fit. So now it's harder for Draven to carry because now Kha'Zix gets more and more fit.
Is this one only an option if I play like tank champions, or is it like would it be the same if I play Kha'Zix in this moment?
Depends how fed you are. If you are the most fed champion, then you can just sit and trade kills onto yourself. But generally speaking, you still want to be playing with your strongest laner because of the fact that you want to defend his shutdown. You want to... they will typically send a lot of people down to get that shutdown. So that's normally where people will end up fighting. Because let's say you are fed on Kha'Zix and you take a 2v2 together with a weak Yasuo, well, then he's not going to be able to follow up with as much damage compared to, let's say you do it together with a Draven, then both Kha'Zix and Draven will do a lot of damage when they're fed, right? So it would make more sense to win a 2v2 no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you're really, really fed and you can basically just one-shot, well, then you can just use your teammates as a bait on the side lane and then wait like here for them to walk in, or here, wait for them to walk through lane, or here, right? You just one-shot them. But generally speaking, you want to be playing with your strongest teammate because of the fact that you want to defend his shutdown, and you want him to also continuously be fed. Because otherwise he might end up dying 2 times, and then you kill someone else 2 times. That's not really worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So here we're looking for a fight with the rest of your team, so I think this is good. So here I think you should just flank, so I don't think you should show on vision, you should just sit here and either engage or position yourself so that they cannot enter and get vision on bot side, because we want to play for the Drake in 45 seconds.
I think Kha'Zix jumped on blue, that's why I'm pinging right there.
Yeah, this is fine. And then just EQ out here, or you can EQ in and turn. You get a flash, that's fine. Caitlyn ends up dying. We play for the Drake.
Yeah, I did, but my team didn't win with Drake.
I mean, here, again, all you have to do is just spam ping, so you have to figure out, does it make sense for us to take the fight first, or does it make sense for us to just turn on Drake, right? So you just put the Herald down. So here I would say, well, Caitlyn instead, it's 4 versus 4. What I would do is I would probably take this tower first with the Herald. After that, then I would go towards bot side and take the Drake.
Yeah.
Because you taking Drake solo is just going to take forever anyway. So if your teammates doesn't want to take the Drake, then you can just take it solo. Okay, Bard uses the ulti. So after this, now I would probably spam ping. Okay, we got the Bard ulti, let's just go and take Drake. But now you see they end up fighting.
Yeah, Draven wanted to. I think Draven was coming to help me, but then he saw on map that they are fighting. So
yeah. So now I'll just play for the fight. So I would not take this 1v1. I would just wait for the rest of my team.
Can I go to Drake and then I'm not isolated anymore?
No. You are isolated by jungle camps. It's only minions, towers, and other champions that removes it.
Okay.
So what I think you should do here is you should either EQ out here or EQ towards your team. Because no matter what, you want to be either here where you're safe, or here where you can trade with the rest of your team. Going here, this is just, you die. You get nothing from going in this area.
Yeah.
So by looking at how you play, first you go in, then you're walking down. So yes, we still get the Drake, but if you ended up dying, then we should have traded. And now Pyke actually also ended up dying, so. Here, this is also kind of like the same thing as before.
Yeah, I should be on enemy jungle.
You should just be together with these two.
Yeah.
So if these two are saying, okay, let's go fight, then you should walk together with them. So you should just be, yeah, in his topside jungle here. I think you should actually be here or here, walking into here or here, and then fight with the rest of your team. Because doing this does nothing, right?
Yeah,
It just...
I have 0 impact. And I also could have helped here if I.
Because now the issue is that they can just go on Baron.
Yeah.
You end up luckily randomly getting it, but the entire reason why they're on it and you could maybe even have lost the game because of this was because of the fact that we are again not fighting together with Raven.
Yeah.
But now we're fighting together as a team. We're trying to siege. Yasuo ends up dying. You see the Kha'Zix.
I think
Unfortunately,
Drake.
Draven couldn't move there, so that sucks.
I think Pyke could have killed the Bard also, right? With the ult.
Yeah, he could, but he just missed his ult.
Mm.
Here I would just focus on, instead of killing the Lux, I would just focus on trying to clear the wave so that they can't push.
Yeah, so walk down and not up.
I think you could have cleared the wave without dying, essentially. Because now you dying means that they will be as 5 together and they can maybe get towards Drake before you guys. Now Yasuo ended up dying as well, so. And then now we lose Drake. So in this situation, obviously the main thing is that you ended up dying as the first person, then Yasuo dies. So what you can do is defend this tower without dying, then you'll be alive with the rest of your team. If you then see Yasuo end up dying, then you can get some vision around Drake. But if they started and really hardcore force it, then you have to give it. Because of the fact that it's a 5v4 in their favor. So you just have to give it and say, okay, what can we then do? Well, if they go here, then we cannot enter here. So then we have to make a play being sieging mid, can be sieging top, can be looking for vision up here, anything like that. But we cannot go in here because of Yasuo being dead. So us looking for a fight here is really, really bad. Because you again give another free kill, they still get the Drake, could have baited your team to taking a 5v4, and then you could have been aced and they take more towers. This is fine, we trade support for support. You're looking for Caitlyn. Very good. This was good sequence for last 1 or 2 minutes. He played with Draven, he got 2 kills. We end up taking Baron because of it. Very good.
Yeah, so like sometimes I just don't think I think that the problem is I'm not like I have like sections or like let's say 5 or 10 minutes where I'm not thinking like about what I'm doing, and that's the problem. I need to concentrate more on what I actually have to do.
The way to fix it is just figure out what do you do next. So think about 30 seconds out of time. What can you then do? When you get good at that, then you do 60 seconds. Then you can say, well, red buff spawns in a minute. It can be your own red buff. It can be enemy red buff. Should we invade it? It can also be the same for blue buff. And it will be the same for Rift. It will be Drake. It will be all of the jungle things, right? All of these things. Then you can start looking at the icon whenever it changes. Okay, 60 seconds. Let's look for it. Then you can say, okay, now you've got good at that. Now let's do 90 seconds. And then you constantly just think ahead of time, what is the next play? And then sometimes it will work. In other situations, it will not work because let's say Yasuo died, right? And you're like, oh, let's space, let's look for fight on Drake. Oh, my Yasuo died. Well, change the game plan from they get the bot side, we trade the top side, right? Start sieging instead. So now, for example, it would be with this Baron, you come out of base, and there's a Drake spawning in 1 minute and 15.
Yeah.
Now, this is a third Drake for both teams, so it's not game changing, but we are not that far ahead that we can just end with this Baron, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, I would say we should play for the Drake. So that means we should not go top side. We should go mid and we should go bot. And we should play towards the Drake. So essentially what we want to do is we want to push, but we don't want to die for the sake of pushing. So we just push with the minions and the Baron buff. See if we can get the towers a little bit down in terms of HP. The bot one is already down. So if we can get the mid tower down to half HP, or if we can open the bottom hip without dying, go back to the Drake, then we will base, and then we will play towards top lane and mid lane afterwards. So that would be the next, I'd say, 2.5 minutes. Should just be go mid and bot lane together, try and do as much damage on the tower as possible. When the Drake spawns, fall back to Drake, take the Drake, go back to base, go to top lane and mid lane, and start pushing then.
So the thing is, what I don't like is pushing the closest lane to an objective. So, like basically, if I know, okay, Drake is spawning like in 20 seconds or 30 seconds, what I want to do, I want to push top side, because then enemy have a longer like distance to react than just by pushing mid or bot lane.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because you don't have any TP, so you cannot go top.
Yeah.
So if you go one person top, well, what they end up doing is they just say, okay, we can give this tower up, or if they have TP, they don't even have to. They can just go as 5 people here. They'll stack in this area, and you will be 4 people having to walking into them. So then there's nothing you can do.
So you can just do that, what I just said with TP top lane, right?
Yes, if you have TP and it's up, then you can go on opposite side of the map, and then you can split. But because you don't have TP, that's not an option. So you have to just go mid, and you have to go bot, and you have to basically just push. You don't have to push all the way like up here in order to take Drake. You can simply just push it like here's the middle. So you can just push it past this point so that you get some vision, so you have control here, right? So we don't want to die. So if we want to play safe, we just want to make sure that we stay within this area and make sure that they do not get in to try and contest the Drake. Up here, this is where it gets scary. Because if enemy team ends up engaging on us, we have to run really, really far back. They have a tower, meaning that they can safely get back. So main thing is just to push without dying and fall back to Drake and then go and push on the other side. But right now Vladimir is dead, so we have to wait for that guy. But Pantheon is also dead, right?
Yeah. So
Pantheon spawns before though, so we end up fighting then the Caitlyn. So that's a free kill. So this now means because of Caitlyn dying, that's a free Drake for you guys.
Yeah.
And now they did the exact mistake that you guys did. They are fighting without having numbers advantage. Enemy team cannot take this fight because their AD carry is dead. They're taking a 3v4 fight and they're losing because of it. You end up unfortunately dying, but we still get the Drake because we're on it.
Yeah, like Kazakh's damage is disgusting. Also, he's fat, so.
Yep. I mean, yeah, basically just we don't need to fight Kha'Zix 1v1. We want to fight him together with someone, and ideally that should be Draven. Now this is a problem because now everyone ends up dying.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean. The play should have been push mid and bot, take Drake, fall back. Then start pushing top and pushing mid. Now the problem is, because you died, yes we got the Drake, but now your Draven and Pyke died, so now you have to wait another 50-60 seconds before you can actually start doing what you want to do, which is pushing this tower right here. That's because people end up dying.
Yeah.
So now you end up dying as well, so now we have to again wait another 50 seconds before you can start pushing.
Yeah.
And at that point, now it's time to start playing for Baron buff.
And now Draven died.
And now Draven dies, so we have to wait another 50 seconds, and by then Baron is up. But we end up trading a kill back, but it's just a big mess. because you cannot play as a team because always someone is dead. And best ways to fix it is not be the first one to die yourself and play together with the rest of your team.
I think I based and then we did Baron here, and then I think we ended on this one.
I mean,
think
here what you should do is just play slow, because Vladimir is getting an inhib.
Yeah.
So just don't walk into them. Baron is still full HP, you have vision of it. So again, main thing here is don't die, because Yasuo is already dead and somebody has to contest this Vladimir.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they lose an inhib.
Wait, is that like the thing over the map? Is it new? Like with the spawn of the camps?
It's only this is only when you spectate.
Oh, okay.
So here this is fine, we just buy time. Caitlyn defends against Vladimir, but we still get the inhib. Kha'Zix goes in. You trading soul here is fine. Very good. And the team doesn't even do Baron. This time we're actually fighting together with the Draven, so we end up trading some kills back. And now it just comes down to playing around Baron. Okay, they take it, but we still want to play for top and mid. So again, here you're doing the same thing. You're taking these jungle camps when the rest of your team is here.
I should be on Scuttle or enemy.
I mean, right now we can farm because Draven is dead, but as soon as Draven is alive, we should be ready to also walk and fight together with him.
Yeah.
So when he spawns now, but now Pyke and Yasuo is dead, so we have to wait for those two. So it's again just a big mess. We fight with Draven, but the problem is that you're fighting with Draven when we're outnumbered. You are engaging here in a 2v3. You have two teammates dead, and we don't know where the last person is. You don't have any vision of where's the last person. So you're thinking this is a 2v3, which is correct, but this could also be a 2v4. Because we don't know where the last person is.
I didn't even thought about. I think it's Pantheon, right? I didn't even. No, it's not Pantheon. Who is it? Is it Kha'Zix? Yeah, it's Kha'Zix. I didn't even thought about him.
So this is the problem. We don't know where he is. And if he is close, well then we'll end up losing this fight really, really hard. And oh, there's the Kha'Zix. Because you know where your teammates are. We saw Vlad in base, so he cannot join us. But we don't know where Kha'Zix is. So you always have to assume the worst and say, well, it looks like a 2v3, but it could be a 2v4. Even if Vladimir was there and it looks like a 3v3, well, it could be a 3v4. It's only if you see Kha'Zix that you can say, okay, with Vladimir it's a 3v3, let's fight. This one you don't fight, this one you don't fight, this one you don't fight. And I think the main reason why you end up winning this game is because you have this soul, and because of the fact that you have a Vladimir that ends up scaling. Who doesn't mind going 40 minute game. But if you have a different mid laner, if you didn't have soul, I actually think you would lose this game. Do you have any questions for this game?